All rise. The defendant is already in the witness box. It has 6 legs, one extremely suspicious needle attached to its face, and absolutely no respect for personal space. It is accused of keeping humanity awake at 3 in the morning, stealing blood without permission, and helping spread diseases that kill hundreds of thousands of people every year. The verdict seems obvious. There is just one problem. The prosecution has not charged one dangerous species. It has charged every mosquito on Earth. So before we sentence an entire family to extinction, the court will hear both sides. The charges are as follows: spreading deadly disease, causing vast human suffering, repeated nighttime harassment, and possessing no clearly visible redeeming qualities. The defendant has entered no plea. It is currently trying to escape through the ventilation system. We begin with the prosecution. Exhibit A is malaria. In 2024, the World Health Organization estimated 282 million malaria cases and 610,000 deaths. About 95% of those deaths occurred in the WHO African region, and most were among children under 5. Those numbers are not the record of an annoying insect. They are the record of a global public health disaster, and malaria is only one file in the cabinet. Mosquitoes can transmit dengue, yellow fever, Zika, chikungunya, West Nile virus, Japanese encephalitis, and several other infections. Different diseases rely on different mosquitoes, but the basic arrangement is brutally effective. A female mosquito takes a blood meal from an infected person or animal. A pathogen survives, multiplies, or develops inside her. When she bites again, saliva enters the skin, and the pathogen can reach a new host. The mosquito does not invent malaria or dengue. It acts as the delivery service. A delivery service nobody ordered, with terrible tracking information. This also explains why most mosquito bites do not cause a dangerous infection. The mosquito must belong to a species capable of carrying that pathogen. It must first encounter the pathogen, survive long enough for it to develop, and then bite another suitable host. But when all those conditions line up across millions of mosquitoes and millions of people, the result is not rare bad luck. It becomes a system. Only female mosquitoes bite people and animals for blood. They use the nutrients to help produce eggs. Males feed on plant sugars and nectar, meaning half of the defendant's family has been dragged into court despite never biting anyone. The prosecution objects that this is still a family business. Fair point. Mosquitoes are especially difficult opponents because they are small, widespread, and excellent at locating hosts. Carbon dioxide from breath, body heat, scent, and movement can all help guide them. Some bite at night, others bite during the day. Certain species thrive beside human homes and lay eggs in tiny containers of water. A flower pot, bucket, gutter, discarded tire, or forgotten bottle cap can become a nursery. Humanity has spent enormous effort fighting back. Bed nets, insecticides, draining breeding sites, medicines, vaccines, surveillance teams, and public health campaigns. These measures save lives, but they have to be maintained. Mosquito populations rebound. Pathogens develop drug resistance. Mosquitoes can develop resistance to insecticides. Yet the buzzing continues. The prosecution rests with a simple argument. Intentions do not matter. A mosquito is not evil, but a falling rock is not evil either. If something repeatedly causes preventable death, humans are justified in removing it. That would be a very strong closing statement. Unfortunately for the prosecution, the defense has just wheeled in approximately 3,700 different suspects. Because the mosquito is not one thing. There are more than 3,700 types worldwide. Most are not major carriers of human disease. Even within the genus Anopheles, which includes mosquitoes capable of transmitting human malaria, only around 40 of more than 400 known species are recognized as malaria vectors. The courtroom has made the biological equivalent of arresting an entire city, because several residents are criminals. Some mosquitoes rarely bite humans. Some prefer birds, reptiles, amphibians, or other mammals. Some do not live anywhere near us. And again, males do not take blood meals at all. Then there is the ecological evidence. Mosquito larvae live in water. Depending on the species, they consume microorganisms, algae, or decaying organic material, and they become part of small aquatic food webs. Adult mosquitoes feed heavily on nectar and other plant sugars. Some visit flowers and can carry pollen. Mosquitoes are also eaten by fish, aquatic insects, spiders, birds, bats, and other predators. At this point, the defense would like the court to picture a beautiful, perfectly balanced ecosystem, collapsing the instant the final mosquito disappears. The court declines. The evidence is not that simple. Many animals eat mosquitoes, but eating something does not automatically mean depending on it. A bat does not open its evening menu, discover that mosquitoes are unavailable, and quietly starve out of principle. Predators often switch between prey, and ecological roles can sometimes be filled by other organisms. But sometimes is doing important work there. Scientists understand a great deal about a few mosquito species and far less about thousands of others. In some small habitats, removing mosquito larvae has changed microbial communities and food web relationships. Across the entire planet, nobody can honestly promise that deleting every species would have no consequences. We cannot run a practice extinction, inspect the results, and press undo. There is another problem with the phrase, "get rid of mosquitoes." Even if total extinction were desirable, it would be practically close to impossible. Mosquitoes live on nearly every continent, reproduce quickly, occupy countless habitats, and include thousands of species that would have to be targeted in different ways. So the defense is correct about one thing: total eradication is an absurdly blunt weapon. But the prosecution has another question. Why remove all mosquitoes? Why not target the handful that cause the greatest harm? That changes the case. Researchers and public health programs already use targeted methods. Breeding sites can be removed. Larvae can be controlled. Sterile or irradiated males can be released so fewer offspring survive. Mosquitoes carrying Wolbachia bacteria can reduce the spread of certain viruses. Genetically modified mosquitoes are also being tested or considered as tools against specific disease vectors. Some proposals aim to reduce a local population. Others aim to make mosquitoes less capable of carrying a pathogen. Those are very different goals from deleting the entire mosquito family. These approaches are not magic switches. They require careful trials, regulation, monitoring, and the involvement of communities expected to live with the consequences. A genetic tool that spreads through a population could be powerful. That is exactly why mistakes would matter. It could cross borders, affect connected populations, or behave differently outside a laboratory. Rejecting every new tool would leave preventable disease untouched, but releasing one carelessly would turn public health into an experiment with no proper control group. The strongest version of the defense is not mosquitoes are secretly wonderful. It is this: the accused group contains thousands of different species, most of which are not responsible for the crimes presented. Humanity should not erase biological diversity merely because we dislike one branch of it. The strongest version of the prosecution is not "mosquitoes are annoying." It is this: a small number of species help produce suffering on a scale so large that refusing to control them is also a moral decision. The court is ready to rule. On the charge that every mosquito species should be eliminated from Earth, the defendant is found not guilty. The case was overbroad, ecologically reckless, and based partly on guilt by association. However, on the charges against major human disease vectors, the ruling is guilty with conditions. Humans are justified in aggressively suppressing, locally eliminating, or potentially eradicating particular mosquito populations. When the expected public health benefit is strong, the method is carefully tested, ecological risks are evaluated, and affected communities are involved. This is not permission to declare war on every insect with long legs. It is permission to stop treating all mosquitoes, and the mosquitoes killing people, as the same question. The defendant may leave. The dangerous relatives will remain in custody. Now the jury decides, should humans be willing to erase a disease-carrying mosquito species if doing so could save hundreds of thousands of lives, or is deliberately causing an extinction a line we should never cross? Choose carefully. For the first time in history, nature may not be the only force deciding which species survives.